This is great. You might be starting over, actually.
Oh, is it? Well, hello, everyone.
Okay, all right.
Are
Now,
we back
I
on
think
YouTube
we're
now?
live. We're on YouTube. I'm going to let this.
Oh, yes, I see it.
Do you see it? Are we
I
there?
see it. I can see us.
We
We are
did
on
it.
YouTube.
Meg, we're on
We're
YouTube.
on
We're live.
YouTube.
We made it.
We'll do the intro all over again. Take two, everybody. Little
Well,
technical difficulty. Every good live stream starts that way.
if it's not already apparent, this is the first time we're live on YouTube on the 407 and Beyond channel. So
And we're excited.
exciting, but also requires some technology and some plugging of various wires. You should see behind my camera right now. It's a mess. So, but we made it. So first time going live on 407 and Beyond. I'm looking forward to the potential that this brings, Meg. I think we'll be able to
Yeah.
do some in park stuff. We'll be able to do more recordings like this where we're just casually chatting. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited too. I think, like you said, there's so much potential if we can do in park streams. Those are always fun to walk around and see what's happening live time. But then also getting to chat Disney, chat travel like this.
Right.
So, and me and you, we have so much to catch up on here. You just got
I
back from a
know.
really big trip, so it's going to be
I
a
know.
exciting stream today.
We spent a week out in California, and we were in LA and Hollywood for a little bit, and then Disneyland for the remaining portion of the trip. And out there, they had a hurricane and an earthquake, for which I was there for, and then I got home here to the Bay Area and had a hurricane last night. So I know that the Bay Area had some flooding, but where I'm at, it was pretty okay. So how about you in Central Florida?
Central Florida, really, there was just heavy rain and winds. I haven't seen any areas that are super close to around me and the Disney area that have any flooding or anything. We were
Good.
very fortunate that it seems like it definitely was north of us, the storm's
Okay.
path. But
Yep.
everything that I guess was the actual bands of the hurricane passing over happened overnight. And honestly, I slept through it. Like I didn't even really hear. Opposite of kind of last year with we had Hurricane Ian, I could definitely hear things when it was coming through, the sounds of the wind and everything. But this was pretty calm, I would say.
Okay.
So we were fortunate in that way.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and we're keeping everybody in mind who is in the path of the storm. I know it's progressing northeast right now, so thinking everybody who's in that path and wishing you a safe next couple of days. So, all right, you want to talk California?
I am
Ready
so
to talk
ready to
Disneyland?
talk Disneyland. I don't know if you can see it, but I wore my Disneyland shirt.
I
I was
do.
prepared for this live stream.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And if for anyone watching live, if you have any questions or comments, please make sure to put those into the chat. We'll be monitoring that and answering any questions that come up. So Meg, I was out there last week, and we started our trip by landing into John Wayne, so Santa Ana Airport, and that is my favorite airport to land into when going to Disneyland. I know some people like flying into LAX. LAX is a little bit further north, probably like, if traffic's right, maybe like a 45-50 minute drive to Disneyland property. But John Wayne is just so close. It's about 25 minutes. It's a smaller airport. So I enjoy flying into there. And we rented a car and went up to Huntington Beach for the afternoon and kind of explored the coast a little bit, like Laguna and Huntington, and those beaches were nice. Now that's not exactly my perception of Santa Monica Pier or Venice Beach. Those were drastically different
Different?
than Laguna and Huntington Beach. So,
That's good to know.
yeah, drastically different. So that's on the second day. But as for Huntington, it was pretty chill. Kind of reminded me of the beaches here in the Bay Area, like Clearwater. Um, and yeah, it was pretty good. Now, have you been to the beaches out west?
I have only ever been to Santa Monica. So, yes, and that
Okay,
was
so I'm
definitely
interested
my
to know what your
experience. Yeah.
experience was. Okay.
So, it was, oh my goodness, probably close to 10 years ago now at this point. So, it's been a while, but that was my memory of it. We didn't spend much time there. It was
Okay.
more so going to Santa Monica to see the Santa Monica Pier, to take pictures and just kind of like say we've been there. And then I think it was
Right.
actually we were then transitioning down from being in spending a couple days in Hollywood to then going to Disneyland. So we didn't even spend like a full beach day, but I remember like it was an iconic moment for me to like walk down and I wanted to, touch the Pacific Ocean for the first time being a
Right.
East Coast girl and kind of having that moment. But I remember we were there in August, so exactly like you, and the water was freezing cold. Did you experience that? And I know you had some interesting
It
weather.
was. It was chilly.
Yes, like
Yeah.
being used to Florida beaches, it's
Right.
definitely the Pacific Ocean. I wasn't ready for how cold it was. I don't think I could ever do a full beach day at a California beach for that reason.
Right. You know what? I mean, excuse me. I was mid-August when I was there, and I mean, people were in wetsuits, like
Yes,
surfers. All
yeah.
those guys were in wetsuits. People were at the beach having like a beach day or vacation. But as a Floridian, I agree.
I can't
I
get
thought
in
it
the
was
water.
chilly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was there,
Um,
it was a 90-degree day temperature wise. So you think, oh, the water is going to be amazing. But after that experience, I remember I was talking to a friend of mine that had moved from California. And she said, it's always that perception of you think a California surfer dude. And she said, really, they're all in wetsuits. Like that is
right.
that's actually how they have to get in the water out there. So we didn't do a full beach day. But even just walking around the beach there, yeah, I wouldn't want to spend too much time at that boardwalk. It's not the
Yeah, so
same type of
let's talk about
environment.
that. So, and let me circle back real quick. Week out in California, majority of it at Disneyland. We spent all of our nights at Disneyland. We were at the Grand Californian,
Very nice.
and we had a car that we rented to go up to Hollywood and LA and these beaches. Um, so totally recommend doing something similar on a vacation, splitting it up and doing that. But let's circle back to Santa Monica Pier. Um, Not what I expected at all. Because we had done Laguna and Huntington Beach and beautiful.
That's why I've never been
Um,
to those, so I'd be very
okay,
curious to go to those beaches now that I've
beautiful.
heard of that.
Not touristy really at all.
Okay.
Minus like having hotels and resorts. Santa, I'm trying to be careful with how I describe my experience there, but I just didn't expect it to feel like a carnival or local
Fair.
like the fairs in
It's like a
town.
fairgrounds.
Yeah,
Yes.
I had no preconceived notions of kind of what to expect, but that wasn't what I expected all at the same time. So I know that doesn't make much sense, but um, so I was a little surprised. We didn't spend much time there. So we rented some electric bikes, which were fun, and we went down the beach to Venice Beach. Didn't spend a lot of time there either. Went down, saw enough of it, and decided, okay, let's go back. And so we turned around. Just night and day between Laguna and Huntington beaches, and then Santa Monica and Venice. So, my recommendation is if you are going to the West Coast on a vacation and you want to go to local beaches and you're in the LA, Anaheim area, go to Laguna or Huntington areas first. If you're looking for kind of that family vibe, you have kids, the beach is what you are there to do. Those would be my recommendations.
That's good to know. And what about Bruce? So you said you had a car. So what was like driving distance to each of
Yeah,
those beaches from like staying on Disneyland property? So you were at the Grand Californian. You didn't have a Hollywood hotel, right? You were at the Grand Californian the whole
right, right.
duration of your trip. Okay.
Um, like Laguna, what we went, straight from John Wayne. I think that was like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and
Okay.
then everything from like Huntington and Santa Monica was probably about 45 to an hour and 10, just depending on traffic.
Okay. So like
Because,
Orlando, traffic's the
exactly.
big big thing that can change a lot up.
Very dependent on traffic.
Okay.
So, yes. Um,
That's good to
so
know.
yeah,
I
it
would
was
definitely
fantastic.
want to check out Laguna and Huntington. Those are like the name Huntington, I don't even really think I've heard too many people talk about that before. And that's always something I enjoy when traveling is not necessarily going to the main touristy spot, but finding more the local spots
Right.
to go. And that sounds like that would be it.
Yes. Now, I mean, there's tons of parking. I mean, it is touristy, but it's way more quiet.
Yes.
It's
More the family feel, like you said.
yes, exactly. But that's for the beaches. So for me, in more exciting fashion, was L.A. and going into Hollywood. So um, we woke up early one morning at the front end of our trip and drove up to Hollywood, and then drove down Hollywood Boulevard, went up to the park, and there's a lot of trails up around the Hollywood sign, and we did probably 4 or 5 hours of hiking.
Oh my gosh.
So it was
Wow.
quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I've never done that. That is an experience that I have always wanted to do. I've been to Hollywood a couple times, and I've done before the tours that will like take you, kind of get you as close as you can driving wise up to the
Right.
Hollywood sign, get you to a good lookout point that you can get out, get some good pictures and everything. But that is something that I've always thought that it'd be amazing to actually do the trails like
So
you
you
and
have
Elizabeth
seen
did.
the Hollywood sign.
I have, yes.
Okay, good. And were you from like a vehicle on the road or?
It was, yes, we did. There's actually a company that we use called the Anaheim Tour Company. I
Okay.
believe they're still in business, and we were staying in Disneyland, so they were a great option because they actually picked us up from our Disneyland hotel,
Nice.
which we were at one of the Good Neighbor hotels. I believe we were at the Hilton that trip. But they picked us up from there at our hotel. Very good customer service. It was a small, intimate group. I think there was only us and like two other families
Okay.
on the entire tour, and they drove us. It was an 8-hour tour, so we did lots of different stops throughout Hollywood, the surrounding areas there. But one of them was going up to the Hollywood sign. So
Good.
because we were on, it was more like a, you know, 10 passenger van or so I would
Yeah,
say. So
yeah.
we were able to get up, I think, a bit further than you can on most traditional big bus tours. And then they got us to a clearing, and we were able to get out and actually walk around a bit and take pictures. I remember we saw a coyote on the path
that's
that crossed
fun.
in front of us. So that was cool. Very
That's
much
fun.
was the experience of being up in the Hollywood Hills. So we got those pictures. But I remember thinking, you know, if I was ever to come back again and not be on a set tour that you only have so much time at each stop, I would love to do like you did and getting to actually hike. And you, from what I've seen online, you get to go back behind the Hollywood
We
sign
did.
too, right?
We did, yeah. So the hiking is a little bit intense. There are a couple pathways up. So if you want like a little bit of an easier trek, there is one. Of course, we didn't take the easy
The
one.
easy path.
We had to take the more rigorous one, which was fantastic. The sights from up top of the mountain were really fun. Seeing the city, and what was really cool is I was taking a photo, and I was just kind of like peering out over the mountain and looking at all the landscapes, and I see this really bright red dot down below. And so I'm like trying to focus, like, I wonder what that is. It was a mushroom from Super Nintendo World at Universal Hollywood, which that was cool. So
That's awesome. So you can kind of get your wayfinding of like, okay, that's Universal backlot.
Exactly.
And oh, I love that. That
So-
was my favorite thing out in LA was seeing the backlots.
oh yeah,
I had done the Warner Brother backlot tour, the Universal backlot tour. I believe, where else have I been? Sony Pictures. But
Oh,
I
nice.
just think that is so thrilling, like going actually on the backlots. And
yeah.
it's
That is cool.
very cool. Yeah.
That is cool. Now, I wish that we could have done those tours. It just wasn't in the cards for this trip. But yeah, so we kept hiking. It takes you behind the Hollywood sign, which is pretty unique. And then you can see like Griffith Observatory like out in the distance. And as you continue to hike and you kind of like do some switchbacks down the side of the mountains, you can see Griffith Observatory even closer, and a lot of Hollywood Hills. So, in my opinion, if someone's going out to Disneyland, spending a couple of days, but want to spend more time in that area, in that region, definitely something fun to do if you're physically able to do it. It was really cool. And what was interesting was when you're at the top, you can see the layer of like smog over the city,
Oh wow,
which I thought
yeah.
was interesting too. Yeah. But yeah, so Meg, I recommend it for the next time you're out there to hike up to the sign itself. So
Oh
it
yes,
looks so
I definitely do
small.
that.
I think it's even in the thumbnail, right? It's like behind us. It looks so small, but then when you get there, the letters are pretty tall.
They're tall,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I thought that too. The first time I ever went to Hollywood, I remember just from the ground the first time that I spotted it. My initial impression was I was like, oh, like I guess in your head you build it up to this glitz and glamour that it's going to be so massive, but I could imagine that when you're actually up there next to it, it's you see how big it is.
yeah, it is. It is pretty big. So, so yeah, that was our time in LA. We did, like I said, Laguna Huntington Beach on that first day, and then that second day was hiking. We drove down. I left this out, Meg. We drove down Hollywood Boulevard so we could see the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
Not as I expected either. So
We
we
had a
drove.
similar experience.
Not what I expected. I have to say, I think Disney's replica version in Hollywood Studios is better
Yeah.
than the real thing.
You can kind of appreciate it more in probably that era of 1940s Hollywood. Yeah, because I think it's one of those things. My mom actually said this when we had gone on our family trip to LA. Is like you go there and you're picturing like what you see when you watch the Oscars on TV,
Yes,
and it's like the Academy
yes.
Awards, and they come in and they must scrub that street for a couple
Oh,
weeks,
they must be
and
performing a miracle.
oh yes, and they roll out the red carpet, and you picture that. So I think when you go there, you imagine that that's what it looks like
Yeah,
the other 364 days out of the year,
it
and
does
that's
not.
just not the case. No,
It
it's
does
definitely
not.
New York City vibes right
Ye-
there in that
Yeah,
particular section.
it's yeah, it's not as I had imagined. It did remind me a bit of kind of some areas in Orlando with that get like super touristy with like fake Mickey Mouses and
Yes.
Ripley's Believe It or Not across the street and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, interesting. Glad I saw it though. I do recommend everyone seeing it for themselves.
Yeah, that
Um,
was a spot when we did that tour actually through the Anaheim Tour Company. It was an 8 hour experience, so we're stopping at like all these different spots, and I think they gave us it was like an allotted, I think like 45 minutes or something that they pulled us over. We're parked on Hollywood Boulevard that we could get out. And you're then free to go do whatever you want. So some people were doing shopping. Everyone obviously wanted to go in, get pictures by the Chinese
right.
theater. We went into, I know there's the Disney store that is there
There
I don't know if
is.
you saw that. There's the
Yes.
Disney store. So
Yes.
seriously, me and my family, I think we took pictures in front of the Chinese theater to say we were there. We went in the Disney store, and then we actually were the first people we came back and just sat in the van and talked to our tour guide because we were like, yeah, we don't really need to stay here that much
Yeah, we're
longer than
okay.
this. So it's
Yeah.
definitely something that it's cool to say you've been, stop by, but don't like carve out time from your vacation that, oh, we're going to be there for a
Yeah, it's
couple
not like
hours.
a
No.
day trip. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Now, one thing that we did do that I wasn't expecting either was we ate at In-N-Out Burger, which is
Oh,
big out
I've never
there.
done that.
Yes,
And
so
I know that's so iconic. I've always wanted to go, and it's just I've never had
it
time for
is,
it. Yeah.
and we were at like a new location, and it was packed. And that's not typically like food I would eat because someone was asking me like, "Hey, how does it compare to other places around here, I'm not well versed in
Your
the
burgers.
burger realm. So, but it was fine. It was good. It was kind of fun being there. But I'll tell you what, it is so popular. It's packed.
Oh yeah, there's
Um,
like, I mean, a huge following of that
yeah,
establishment. Like people have merchandise for it, t-shirts, the
right.
whole ordeal. So it's definitely something I want to experience. My next trip out there, I have to like make that happen for sure.
Yeah, you definitely have to do it at least once. It feels like a rite of passage out there.
Yeah.
So,
Did you get
um,
the what are they called? I think it's like the animal fries.
oh, you're
I
right.
know
There
that's an
is that. Yeah.
iconic
Oh,
thing. Did
we
you
did
have that?
not. No,
Okay, no.
no. I went pretty basic.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. And you know what? There's not that many menu items. So,
Yeah.
there were like two or three different hamburgers, and then two different types of fries or something, and then milkshakes. So,
Okay.
I didn't partake in the milkshake either. It sounds so lame, but I was there. I did try it. It was good. I would go back.
The
So
burger is the main thing they're known for. You
right.
came for the staple item, yeah.
Right. At least that's what we'll say. To make me feel better about my experience there. But it was good. So I do recommend if you're out there to try In-N-Out Burger. So, any topics or questions you think we missed about LA?
I will ask you this. So, how was your experience with driving, like renting your own car? Because that was something that the reason that we chose, me and my family, to do like the tour company was we were a little bit intimidated by those 7 lane
Understand? Yeah.
highways and everything. And just, first time out, we were like, oh, I don't know if we want to, venture that. So, what would you say is your advice for someone who's kind of nervous
Good
about
question.
driving out there? How was the driving experience?
Um, so if you are going to go to LA, if you're going to go to Hollywood, if you're going to go to the beaches, I do recommend renting the car. That would just be my personal recommendation. We rented it from Enterprise. Our vacation planners can book, and rent vehicles for our clients. They pick them up at the airport and they can just take off. Super easy, super convenient. As for the driving, if you are someone who's very anxiety ridden, or somebody who has some anxiety driving, or driving's just not your favorite thing, especially traffic, then I could definitely see doing a tour that picks you up, or go ahead and just take an Uber to those destinations.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You can definitely do that. I think that if you were going to go into LA, I think it was like $75 to like 150, just depending on the time of day. So manageable. But like we rented a car, unlimited miles, gas included, and it was like $50 a day or something
Oh
like
wow,
that.
that's a really
So
good deal. Yeah, that's
you
worth
know,
it.
yeah. But yeah, if driving makes you nervous, you know, uh, it's like being on I-4, you know, all the time.
Every
Being
road that
being
you're
on
going.
the 405,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. Yeah, it's pretty busy. It's pretty busy.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to
No, we
know.
did go up when we. This was a Saturday Sunday, so we left Saturday and Sunday mornings to drive up there, and traffic was okay.
That's smart too
But
to kind of plan out when you're gonna commute up there, and yeah,
yeah, avoid rush hour.
right.
Um, because when we went to the airport on Friday, which is the other direction, not in LA, I mean traffic's busy out there during the
Mm-hmm.
week. So
Yeah,
yeah, so if you're comfortable with it and you're comfortable driving, then I would 100% recommend renting a car.
renting a car.
But if not, then people do Uber, or as you know get tours or get picked up in vans
Right.
and stuff like that.
That's good to know. I'm also curious about that. So you said you flew into John Wayne, correct?
Yes,
And
yes.
that's something that I've never personally done, but I've had
Okay.
people tell me every time I've ever gone to California, I've been out, I think, about 4 times over the course of my life. And I've always flown into LAX. And it is definitely, like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's a busy airport,
It
very
is.
busy. And if you're mostly going out to California because you are a Disney person, and like you're staying in the Anaheim area, you're going specifically to Disneyland, you are, like you said, depending on traffic, a good hour to hour and a half away from Disneyland Resort flying into LAX. So it's not horrible to, I think the last time that I went to LA was for D23 in 2019.
That's cool.
And we flew, yes, that was an amazing experience, but we flew into LAX and then we had a shuttle service that I believe was provided by Disney. I think we had to pay for it, but it was, they picked us up at LAX and dropped us at our Disneyland resort. So they did the driving for us. Like, it wasn't horrible. But yeah, you are still an hour and a half, away from your destination once you land. So I'm very intrigued by flying into John Wayne because it's in Anaheim, right? Or close.
It's close
to it.
by. Yeah.
Okay.
It's close by. Yeah, it's a much smaller airport, very convenient. You're kind of like in and out, like, Friday afternoon when we were coming home. Even without it, we have pre-check, but even if you didn't have pre-check, security was like 10 minutes.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
It's very easy. So, and it's only about 20 to 25 minutes away from Disneyland. So,
oh, wow. Yeah.
It's hard to beat. Nice. So try to find flights there. Obviously, there's going to be more flight options going into LAX. But if you can find something that works for you into SNA, then that's what I would recommend.
Very good. My next Disneyland trip, hopefully it happens next year. I'm gonna definitely look for flights into there because I like the sound of that.
Yeah, we typically fly Southwest, and Southwest has quite a bit of flights daily going in.
Going in there, okay.
A lot of options. And if you're going out there for a while, and you're going to need lots of attire, like beach attire, hurricane attire, park attire, dress attire.
Yeah, how did you even pack for this trip, seeing the forecast? I need to know that.
The 2 free bags are pretty nice.
It helps, yeah.
Yeah, it helps.
And I have points with Southwest. There we go. So it's all coming together. That's where I'm flying into.
Perfect. Yeah, that was a good question. Anything else you think we're missing about LA before we get over to Disneyland?
About LA. Did you go anywhere else in LA, like any other spots other than you did the hike that day, you said?
Did the hike.
You did the hike, you did the beaches, that's kind of like not specifically Hollywood. Was there any spots you stopped, it could be restaurant-wise or just anything in Hollywood that you got to experience that you enjoyed?
No. It was in and out for lunch on day 2, but then it was like really late in the evening, but we ate back at Disneyland. And not for any reason other than that's just how it worked out.
Gotcha.
So we did do Hollywood Boulevard, drove around the neighborhoods, a little bit. We did go to Griffith Park. I did not include that, but we did go there. Which, if I'm not mistaken, Meg, I believe is where Walt took his daughters and had the idea for Disneyland was at Griffith Park, because that bench that's in Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is the bench or replica of. I can't recall if it's the actual one.
I think it's the real bench there.
I do too.
Uh-huh.
From Griffith Park. So there's even some Disney history there as well. So and Snow White was debuted at the Chinese Theater there on Hollywood Boulevard. So quite a bit of Disney history
in
there.
LA. Yeah, that's the spot that I definitely want to get to. When we were on that tour group, we drove through Griffith Park and we went up to the observatory at the top of the hill and got to walk around there. But they gave us that history as we were like driving past and said, if you look over here, that's the carousel that's where the moment happened that Walt was watching his daughters and had the thought of, oh, there should be a place that families can come and all have fun together. That was the moment that Walt envisioned Disneyland for the first time happened there. And so they gave us that history and like they showed us where the spot was from being in the vehicle. But as a Disney fan, I was like, oh my gosh, I just need to go. I want to see that. Forget the observatory. I want to go walk around there. So my next trip to LA, I'd love to go see that as well. Because I think there's also certain times of the year that they open that carousel. It's like a very, like all the horses are antique horses. It's very historic, but it's not open all the time. You can still go see it all the time, but some for special occasions, they will actually open that carousel. And I've seen online people have gotten to ride that. I just think that'd be very cool
That
as
would
a
be cool.
Disney fan to
Yeah.
say that you've done that. So that's on my list.
You're right. That would be cool. Yeah, what you said reminded me of something, and now I can't remember. So if I think of it, we'll circle back. So if you're watching, remember, if you're with us live and you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. Megan and I will do our best to answer those or talk about that topic. And if you are not yet a subscriber to 407 and Beyond channel or Magical Meg, please make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content. Now, these live videos, they're just casual chats, right? This isn't in the parks. This isn't live from the parks or vlogs or tours. This is just chatting. This is like fireside chats or chats over lunch or.
They're fun. I like these
fun.
videos. They're fun to make. Yeah.
Sometimes it's good just to sit down and chat. And let the ideas roll. So, all right, let's talk about Disneyland.
Yes, I'm excited to talk
there
about
for
this.
an earthquake. I did feel the earthquake.
Oh
We were in our room, and I felt like it was like moving a little bit. And I thought, oh man, I'm dizzy.
Oh no.
Then I was like, no. Like, I think the room's actually moving. And
This isn't just me.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. But it lasts like 20, 30 seconds and it stopped. So I thought, oh boy, maybe it was me. Like, maybe I'm just, super tired. Which I don't know why, because it's not like you get super tired and the room starts spinning. But
I'm sure you panic. You're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, like, what's wrong with me? And then it was about an hour later, somebody texted me and goes, oh, you were just in an earthquake. And I was like, that's what it was. So
then you're like immediate, almost in a way, relieved because you're like, okay, I'm justified of what I felt.
Right.
Oh my gosh,
Exactly.
that's crazy. Like, just what are the odds? I know you were joking, saying, of course, the Floridian goes to California and
brings the hurricane.
Brings a hurricane to
Yes.
something Disneyland's never experienced. I have to say, I was very surprised. So I know we just had our hurricane. I'm looking out my window. The outer bands are still kind of going by of just, heavy rains and winds a little bit today. But Disney has not closed down at all here. Like, we're still normal operating hours in Walt Disney World. Last year during Ian, they did shut down the park. Like, I think there was, I'm trying to remember if there was a full day that it was closed. I think we did have a full day closure.
I think it was, yeah.
But then the next day they had a delayed opening, even that it didn't open until like 11 or something the first day back. But I know everyone was talking about, oh my gosh, Disneyland's closing early. Like, this hasn't happened in years that something like this has happened. But I was shocked they were still open until it was their early closure was what, 10 p.m.
Yes. Yeah.
So
they
were
opened late,
still,
which was
oh
9
my gosh.
a.m.
Okay.
And they closed early, which is like 10 p.m. I think it was.
And I remember thinking that still seems like a full park day. Like, that's Epcot closes every night at 9. Like, okay, yeah. So that was very interesting.
That is a stark difference. So
yeah,
with the early entry for Disneyland Resort hotel guests, getting in at the park at 7:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And then each park, depending if there was an event or something, closed at midnight. And is
that all the time? I don't remember. It was
while we were there. So
wow.
We don't have those type of hours, here at Walt Disney World. So that was a bit of a nice change.
I mean, that's really fun. You can definitely make the most then of your Disney days. I know a lot of people that are big park open to close people that could just go crazy at Disneyland. Yeah.
That would be a long day, 7:30 to midnight. But
it'd be a fun challenge video if we could do that for the channel.
It would. Yeah, and then we had the hurricane, which for that area, the Disneyland Resort area, it was just a consistent rain. It wasn't too terrible. I know it was worse in other areas. But we did go to the park that day. Just rain jackets and ponchos. And we did both parks, almost every attraction, major attraction, in less than 6 hours.
Oh my gosh.
It was walk on, walk off, every attraction. So
I'm sure a lot of, because I know Disneyland is definitely a locals park.
Right.
You have a lot more people, like when people do their Disney vacations, typically more people come to Disney World if you're doing your big Disney trip. So
Right.
I think one time I heard a statistic, and I don't know if this is how accurate it is, but it was Disney World's attendance is like 70% people from all around the world and 30% locals. Whereas Disneyland's the exact opposite at like 70% locals and 30% people from across the country and the world.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that's interesting. So probably a lot of people that are locals to Disneyland were hunkering down and like, oh, we're not going to bother to go out in the rain. So I'm sure it looked like you guys that day were really hitting a lot of good wait times. So that was one good thing with the rain.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Excuse me. And you're absolutely right. It's a locals park. You know, obviously people were staying away, didn't want to travel. In those conditions made total sense. But staying on property, staying in the Grand Cal, which is, you know, one of the entrances is in Disney California Adventure Park. It was just easy to pop in and pop out, and that's what we did. So because it was pouring down rain, we rode. What is the big water attraction there at the entrance?
Grizzly River Run.
Yeah, yes. Thank you. So we rode that because we're like, hey, we're soaked anyways.
Might as well.
And we did the swings at Pixar Pier, and it was that was a decision that maybe we could have done differently because. You know, the swings are you know, rocking, and the rain was coming in sideways, just getting pelted right in the face.
That's a memory, though. You're always going to talk about that.
Right. But yeah, you know, on that day, we got on everything, so.
Wow, yeah. I remember when I stayed I still want to talk about your experience staying at the Grand Californian, because I love that resort. So I actually stayed for my, 10 years ago, for my sweet 16, my 16th birthday, I was in Disneyland, and I was with my best friend, and I remember we went on Grizzly River Run. We were staying at the Grand Cal. So that was kind of a decision that we had, that we didn't want to get soaked, you know, the entire day. But it was nice that at the very end of the night, and our hotel is literally right there, because it was getting chilly in the evening. That's another thing with California was, once again, we were there in August. So weather is always, you know, 80s, 90s during the day, but once the sun goes down, it does get little chilly in California. You have more like that mountain terrain out there. Definitely, that's a packing tip for California. Always bring
a
like a jacket, or I would even bring some type of longer jeans, something. For
Meg, I'll do you one better. Purchase a Spirit jersey when you get there, then you'll have it for the trip, and
it's a souvenir. I like that. I like the way you think. You're justifying my Disney spending merchandise. That's great. But yeah, that was what we did, was waited until we're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be freezing when we get off this ride, but we're like, at least we can just run into the hotel then and go get changed. So that's what we did, and that was like a fun memory that I have, was getting to ride that attraction. That's the last thing we did, and run into the hotel.
Exactly. Yeah. That is super convenient. So you want to talk about Grand Cal?
Oh yes. So this is their flagship hotel, similar to the Grand Floridian here in Florida. Disneyland has the Grand Californian. So have you stayed here before prior to this trip? Okay.
I have. I've stayed there a couple times, and funny enough, we're in almost the same room as last time. Our room overlooked downtown Disney, so you know where the entrance from downtown Disney is to the Grand Californian.
Yes, like on the side entrance there.
Yeah, our room was right above that entrance.
Very cool.
So great location. We saw the fireworks in Disneyland from our balcony, which was really special.
Yeah.
So that was great. I will say there's one drawback, and it's so minor. I hate even mentioning it, but by the end of the trip, I was so tired of the downtown Disney music loop that I was like, if I hear the Swiss Family Robinson organ music one more time, I'm going to go crazy. That was the only super minor thing
drawback
with staying right in downtown Disney. But Room was terrific. It always is.
Yeah.
Um, Spacious. They still have carpet because a lot of the rooms here at Disney World have gone to that kind of that hardwood
Hmm.
material. Still carpeted, but the raised beds to put luggage underneath the beds. The lobby is great there.
Yeah,
The
it definitely
Craftsman
has
feel.
similarities to, everyone compares it to Wilderness Lodge
Yeah.
here at Walt Disney World because, yes, it's in that craftsman style.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
really like it. It's a completely different feel from Grand Floridian, but
Uh
I
huh.
like that they are different because they're different themes. Like this one is that California craftsman
Right.
feel. Disney World kind of puts the emphasis on the Floridian beachfront. So yeah, I think it's a nice representation of both of the destinations and their flagship resort. So yeah, I'm a big Grand Californian fan.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. The lobby's great. The
Hmm.
amenities are great. A lot of dining locations. The quick service, the Craftsman Grill, food was terrific. It always is there. There's that little bar and grill at the poolside, and then Storytellers Cafe in Napa Rose. So this time I did have breakfast at Storytellers Cafe and met Mickey and Chip and Dale and the gang, and that was good as always. So
Fun.
the food out there is just always so good. I don't even know if even from quick service to like fine dining, I don't know if I've had a poor dining experience out at Disneyland.
I agree. Yeah, it's just they do food so well
They
out
do.
there. And it's, while the parks are obviously smaller, you only have two parks and resorts out there. They just pack in, I think, so many good food
They
spots, and
do.
even the snacks. They have a lot of good from
Yes.
the kiosks and stuff. You can get some really good food out there. So
Yeah. Um, We also ate at, speaking of food, we also ate at Trader Sam's. So we got an indoor
oh
reservation
yeah,
at Trader Sam's over at the Disneyland Hotel.
I
Um,
love that hotel
that was
too.
really
That's
good
a,
too.
yeah, very cool spot. The fact that you have that Disney history there, that was the original, the very first ever Disney
Yeah.
resort hotel. And yeah, that's a spot. Yeah, so if you don't know, Trader Sam's is the original one out there, and now they have the one that they brought to the Polynesian.
Yeah.
But same feel. It's themed after the Jungle Cruise, and they have a lot of, similar to the Jungle Cruise, like very cool little Easter eggs and just
Yeah.
things in the theming. And it's a tropical hideaway. It
It
really
is.
is. And the one out there I like a lot more than ours here in
Me too.
Florida. Because the one here in Florida, it's fun, but it's just so tiny. It's so
It's so
tiny.
small.
And I like the theming better out there, that it's a tiki hut. It's really like
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
standalone building that is this fun tiki hut. I just love the atmosphere there.
And lots of outdoor seating.
Yes, that's
So if
another
you
part.
can't
That's where
get,
I ate at, was
yeah,
out there. Yep.
I mean, yeah, it is really good. I like it, and to your point, I like how it's nestled in between the Disneyland Hotel buildings.
Yes,
And
it's
speaking
very
of which, the new DVC tower is almost complete, and
cool.
it looks really nice. I posted a photo on our Instagram recently of it. The colors look great. The concept art of some of the artwork and design, interior design, look fantastic. So that'll be really nice, and it really makes it feel really closed in, having that tower there. So yeah, they had some scaffolding on the monorail pool slide. Um, I don't know what work was going on there, but when that's all done, that's going to be really nice back there.
Yeah, that's a nice area. It's definitely, when you're going to Disneyland, even if you're not staying, this is my best tip, if you're not staying necessarily at any of the Disney resorts, spend a day just to go around and like resort hop and see that, or go to get a reservation at Trader Sam's, or just
Right.
go there for a drink. Like, it's definitely very cool to check out. And the Disney history that's there too is very special.
Yeah, because the Disneyland Hotel also has those like shadow boxes and all of those old pieces on the way to the convention building too that you can go check out, and it has a lot of old memorabilia, name tags, and board games and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So a lot of history there to your point. So
I love, in the lobby you can see it. I remember they have all the pictures of celebrities that
yeah,
stayed at, there's been presidents that have stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. It's very cool.
So anything on hotels you want to talk about? Oh, excuse me. I'm getting choked up there. Anything on the hotels you want to talk about before we move on over to the parks?
Ooh, I think we covered it all in hotels. Yeah, it's just the Grand Californian is definitely one of those spots that is so unique. Like being from, if you've only ever visited Disney World, it's so hard to convey to somebody just how close you are
It
to
is. You're
everything
right.
in Disneyland. Like the park is built that it's like Disneyland is on one side and then shares an entryway that you can literally walk out and you're like 50 steps away from then going into Grand Californian. Like the
Right.
parks, seriously, you go out to the entrance and you can like look at each other
You're
from
right.
the parks. So that's a really cool thing. And then where the Grand Californian happens to be positioned, the one side of the hotel you can see the into California Adventure Park. Then there's another side of the hotel where you were at that was overlooking to downtown Disney. So I just think that that is so cool. I've never had that view. The times that I've stayed there, I've had the view into California Adventure Park. But I remember thinking that that'd be neat to actually get the downtown Disney view and kind of. I'm sure people watching is very entertaining
Yeah.
out there, yeah, in the
Yeah.
evening to sit out there. And I didn't realize also that you can see Disneyland fireworks
Yeah. That was
being
pretty
on that
cool.
side because it faces that
Yeah.
direction. That's really neat.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. I do want to briefly do my due diligence here and say if the Disneyland Resort hotels are out of price range, there are some really good neighbor resorts literally right across the street.
Oh yeah,
So
that's the other thing too is you're so close, just
yeah,
proximity. There's Harbor Boulevard there has a ton of hotels that are still walking distance. Like I've stayed at I believe the Hilton, Sheraton, and the
yeah,
Best Western that is seriously right
right across
next
the street.
door, and it's a not even 5 minute walk in the morning. So it's very nice.
Yeah, so definitely some good options right outside the excuse me, right outside the park. So let's chat inside the park. So um, Radiator Springs Racers down for refurbishment.
Oh, was it?
Haunted
Oh,
Mansion down for the Halloween Christmas overlay. So that was down.
okay.
So a couple main attractions were down, but um, this trip, I wrote everything at least once. I still love Guardians Mission Breakout more than Hollywood Tower of Terror. Still prefer the Guardians version out there. Still love
I have
Avengers
to agree with that.
Campus.
Yeah.
Avengers Campus was great. Um, I tried a couple of cold brews. One of them was from Pim's Lab. Excuse me. I have a cough and I can't get rid of it. And it was cookies and cream, cold brew
It was a
from
cold
Pim's.
brew.
It
Oh, so
was.
like a coffee base, right?
Yes, coffee
Cookie. Oh my
based.
gosh, you're
I
selling
tr-
me right here.
yeah, I tried that. It was terrific. I loved it. I wasn't sure that I would, but it was great.
Wow. That's
So
something I really want to hear all about Adventures Campus because the last time that I was in Disneyland was for my D23 trip in 2019. So I have not been back since
yeah,
anything in Avengers Campus opened. I haven't seen any of that. Guardians was converted at that point.
okay,
That 2019 trip was the first time I experienced Mission Breakout, which, yes, if the
love it.
viewers don't know, that's what replaced. They used to have Tower of Terror, and then they converted it to its Guardians of the Galaxy themed. And I would agree with you. I think I like that theming more. It's just more fun. I
It
like
is
also similar to the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction here, how you have that thrill element of there's different songs you can get on your
right.
ride. So I think that adds to it as well. There's like that, oh, what song are we going to get? It gives it that rewritability of what you're going to experience. So I really enjoyed that attraction. So yes, I'm now curious to see because also I am going through the Marvel movies as we speak, like
Yeah,
which is
good.
something that I hadn't done for a while, but I'm now going through. I just watched all of the Guardians movies and I'm obsessed. So that's something that I'm
Good,
now
good.
that I'm in it. I was seeing your post from Marvel. What is it? Avengers Campus.
Yeah.
I wanted to call it Marvel Land. No, Avengers Campus. So I want to now go there. So I want to hear all about that experience.
Um, you know, outside of Mission Breakout, characters, lots of Marvel characters. Each night, Star Lord and Gamora come out for like this dance party. I know we have a video up on Instagram and TikTok with that. That's a lot of fun. Pim's Lab, good food. It's really fun environment where the food is blown up
That's so cool.
to extremely large sizes. Um, Web slingers, Spider-Man web slingers, great concept, great cue, and it's a fun Spider-Man version of Toy Story Mania,
Okay, that's
which is
interesting.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like it. Now, is do I like it more than Mission Breakout? No, I don't think
Okay.
so. But I do appreciate it, and I do like it, and I do think it definitely warrants guests riding it at least once while they're there. So,
Got it.
um, a lot of fun. I love just being in there and listening to the music loop over and over. Pim's Lab has some really cool drinks. I don't really partake in drinks, but they have a lot of cool options that come in really cool glasses. So there is something for everybody of all ages, and a lot of really good photo opportunities with characters.
Oh
So
yeah, that's what it looked like.
um,
There was just so many characters just walking around, almost like Galaxy's Edge. How you have, Ray and Chewbacca will just randomly kind of come
right,
out. It seems like it's that type of atmosphere that there's just characters everywhere, just walking around the land, which is really cool.
yeah. So definitely worth it. Definitely worth the visit alone. And then I want to, I was writing and I was trying to think to myself while I was writing attractions, like, why do I like a few of these so much more out here than I do at Walt Disney World? And what would be kind of like my current favorite?
Mm,
And if you know me, every time we do like a ranking list, it's like, this is how I feel today. It could change next week,
that's me.
could
It
change next
changes all
month,
the
but
time.
as of today, this would be my rankings. So I was keeping that in mind as I was writing, and two rides stood out as just better, just simply better, and that
Well, okay, I'm
was
excited to hear this.
Big Thunder Mountain Railroad
Hmm.
and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah,
Just superior. Big Thunder
I
Mountain
agree with that.
Railroad, smoother.
Hmm.
The scene at the end of the town,
Oh yeah, the
they have
theming
it. It's
elements
better,
is the
and the scene with
pyrotechnics that they have when you're inside
the
of the
TNT.
mountain. Yes,
Yes,
that's so
yes,
cool.
that is my favorite scene on that attraction.
Like, when are they going
Um,
to update that here? Like,
I know,
bring
I
that to
know.
Disney World. It is definitely better out there.
I could not agree more. That's my favorite scene.
And
Um,
then I have to agree with Pirates. That is the one that, I mean, every time I then ride Pirates here, I'm just like here at Walt Disney World.
right.
It's just not the same. Like, if you don't know, Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean has additional scenes. Like, I believe it's the ride time is double what we have in Walt Disney World. Like, there's so much more to see, more animatronics, additional scenes that kind of I think tell more of the story of the ride. Like, it's
Yep.
better all around. I love that ride. That's one
Yep.
that I wish we could just plop down here at
Agree.
Walt Disney World in a heartbeat.
Agree. I love
Yes.
the scenes at the excuse me, at the beginning.
It sets it up
And
different,
at
and
the
I know
end.
it's supposed to be significant that because you start out in the Disneyland Pirates that you're in modern day New Orleans,
Yeah,
and
you're in the Blue
you go
Bayou.
down, you're in the Blue Bayou, yep,
Yeah.
and you go down that first drop, and that's supposed to kind of signify that you're going back in time to the era of the pirates, and it's just I think it's a better storyline out there for that attraction.
Yeah.
That's the way to experience
Yep.
Pirates of the Caribbean. It's
I
just
agree.
that's my favorite ride I think out there, like dark ride
Yeah.
wise. Like, I remember one of my first trips to Disneyland that had a short wait, and I think the one night I rode it like 3 times in a night because I just was obsessed with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. So those are the two that stood out to me. I want to talk about Space Mountain as well, but Caleb Witten has a comment. He says he can't wait for the Haunted Mansion upgrade in 2024. That was just released on Disney Parks
Oh
blog
yeah,
and Disney
that looks
Parks
very cool.
Twitter account. And Tiana's Place, which will be opening up in 2024. Now, that's one that I'm personally very excited for as well.
Hmm.
Tiana is a top 3 favorite Disney character of mine. So
Oh, yeah. I
um,
didn't know that. There you go.
I am looking forward to that.
I am crossing my fingers that we get Tiana's place here in Walt Disney World.
First.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Well,
Sorry. Oh,
just
the
like for
restaurant. I'm sorry.
the restaurant, yeah,
Yes.
because I know the Tiana ride makeover to Splash Mountain, it currently fits so well.
Yeah.
That's like it's her spot. Like
Yes.
it's gonna be so amazing. So I would actually love if we could have a tiny section of our
Yep.
Frontierland somehow here in World themed. If we could have a mini New Orleans Square.
How do you
and
feel?
I just really want beignets. Beignets stand so bad.
I agree.
Back there.
How would
That'd be
you
amazing.
feel if you were playing Imagineer right now? How would you feel about a refurb of Pecos Bills?
Well, I do love my Tex-Mex, but I literally thought this the other day because I was looking at that area back there and I'm like, where would they put that if they were to do a proper Tiana's Place restaurant or some type
Yeah.
of a quick service? And I think I have it figured out.
Okay,
I was
what's your
thinking,
plan?
so there's that Golden Oak Outpost, which is like on the pathway if you're coming from Pirates of the Caribbean up to where Splash
Yep.
Mountain is. I think that could be rethemed as a beignet stand. I want
Okay.
beignets and mint juleps in there.
Okay.
And then, yes, as much as it will be kind of bittersweet to say goodbye to my Tex-Mex, my tacos in there at Pecos Bills, I think I'd rather
Yeah.
a New Orleans themed restaurant cuisine come in there. I'm willing to give up Pecos Bills for that. Yes.
I would too.
Yeah.
Caleb does say that after those, he would like to see upgrades to Disneyland's Tomorrowland. He
yeah.
said maybe add something like Tron or Mission Space, etc. So here's what I would say to that. First, Caleb, I agree. I think an upgrade out at Disneyland is necessary a little bit. People Movers abandoned.
That's
I
a big
think
thing
the
I want is
theming
just bring back
needs-
People
yeah,
Mover there. That'd be great.
Theming needs to be a little more cohesive. I don't think now that maybe they take something out. I do not think they have enough space to add to the land, so I don't foresee something like Tron or another attraction going in. But I would just like some cohesiveness to Tomorrowland in general. I think that would be good and bring back the People Mover. So.
I agree.
Yeah. That's what I have to say about Tomorrowland.
I think out of all the lands in Disneyland, that is the one that feels a bit
Yeah.
more amusement parky and not
Yeah.
up to the Disneyland standard. Yeah, to kind of, and I mean, I think that comes with the nature of it's Tomorrowland. It's meant to be futuristic, and futuristic, the definition of that keeps changing as we go, through
Right.
time here. So I think they do just need to modernize it a bit more, and that can just be done with some theming elements. And the biggest thing would be to bring back the People Mover,
Yeah.
because yes, that has been sitting abandoned in Disneyland. I think if they would announce that, you see the huge following that People Mover has here in Walt Disney World. I think people would just go nuts for that.
Yeah.
That would do very well out there.
I agree. And let's just admit it. The thing that's missing is Carousel Progress. Am I right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
The last thing I want to talk about regarding the parks is how much I like Fantasyland out there. How like intimate that space is, and how they have Mr. Toads and they have Peter Pan, they have Pinocchios, they have Snow White, they have Alice in Wonderland and Teacups Around the Bend, and those original like dark rides, they're still fun today. And even in the midst of huge attractions and Rise of the Resistance being in that park, or Big Thunder Mountain Railroad or Space Mountain, it's just fun. And it's just really
That is
cool
actually
being
one of my
back there.
favorite areas in all of Disneyland here at Magic Kingdom, my favorite land of the Magic Kingdom is Adventureland.
Mm-hmm.
I like the theming there, but it's interesting. In Disneyland, my favorite land is actually Fantasyland out there for that exact feel. It has a very romantic, just nostalgic feel. It's unlike anything else. The one here in Florida, while I love it, it's more, I don't know, theme parky. Like I just don't like that whole area back behind the castle. Like when you go that very narrow bottleneck between Peter Pan's flight and Small World that just kind of has those awnings. It just looks like a fairgrounds, which I think in the theming is what
Right.
I know Disney World was going for. It's meant to be like the fairgrounds of Cinderella Castle. Like they put on a
Right.
fair for their residents. That's the theming. But the one in Disneyland just feels like you are in this magical
Yeah.
storybook. It is stunning, especially at night. I love the teacups have all the string lights above it. It's unlike anything else that we have here.
I
So
agree.
that's my favorite land in all of Disneyland is Fantasyland back there.
Which also includes their outside really cool facade. It's a Small World attraction.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
really cool
That's
too,
beautiful.
especially at night. So, you know what? I misspoke. The last thing I want to talk about in the parks is the newly reopened Toontown and Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway. So,
Oh, yes. I want to
um,
hear about this because this is another one that last time I was in California, almost 4 years ago now, I did not get to experience any of that. So I want to
it's
hear.
it's fantastic. It's great it being open again. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is the same as it is here at Hollywood Studios, but the queue is vastly different. So here it's in Grauman's Chinese Theater. There, it's in its own like building. I upload some pictures on Instagram. It's really cute. So they did a terrific job, and it fits perfectly in that
In that
space.
area.
So
That's
it's
so
really
fun.
cool.
Is the theming of the queue, I'll have to look at your pictures, is it the same storyline like you're stepping inside of a cartoon? So do they theme it like a theater that you're going through, or is it a completely different
It's
theme?
it is kind of like memorabilia from Mickey cartoons. So there's
Oh,
like some
that's cool.
costumes, there's some
Okay.
sets. So it's like you are going like into a movie theater as opposed to like a stage theater.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's set up with different props and different scenes and different costumes, and it's really cool. They still have like kind of like the movie posters, from the one in Hollywood Studios. So
Okay.
that's
So
similar. Yeah, on this one, I think it's a draw. It's a wash. They're both great. They're just different, and so it's fun to experience both of them.
that's really neat. And I love that being in California. One of the last times I was there, just walking through Toontown and seeing, Mickey and Minnie's house. And it's just something that we don't have here. We used to in Magic Kingdom years
Right.
ago, but there's something very cool about that. You get some
Yeah.
really cute pictures and I know kids go nuts for that area. That is very special.
It
Something
is.
that Disneyland has that we don't at Walt Disney World. So I'm happy that area is back open again. The second they announced that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway was going in there, I just remember thinking that yes, that would fit
Yeah.
that feel back there so well.
It does. And I do want to be fair to Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World's great. We're just drawing
Yes,
some
we love Walt Disney World. Yeah.
comparisons. And it's funny. I did hear a family talking about Walt Disney World, like, oh, they have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Mine Train, and they have this and they have that. So you always like the other one better, where you're at. But
Yeah.
but Disneyland is special, and those attractions that they have and we have here at Walt Disney World, I just admit their version is better. So,
Better. Yeah, I
um,
have the same opinion on that. I think they just have a little bit more attention to detail, or like we mentioned with Pirates, the actual attraction is longer running time. You have
right.
additional scenes. Like you can't beat that. That is just their Small World. I think my favorite thing about it, and I keep hoping they will bring this one day to Walt Disney World, is the fact that they have Disney characters
Yeah.
throughout the attraction. So you're not just seeing the dolls. They actually have dolls of Cinderella. They have a Little
Right.
Mermaid, yeah, doll, like, and they actually fit them into the country that you're seeing. It's like their homeland, so it's just done very well. I love their Small World out there. It's one I kind of skip over here at Walt Disney World, but when I'm in Disneyland, that's something that you have
Yeah.
to
Agree.
experience. So there's just a lot of like little things like that make Disneyland very special and unique. And I think as a big Disney fan, it's something that you have to experience at some point going to it's Walt's original theme park. Like you can actually stand on Main Street and line up the exact picture where Walt Disney stood walking around his dream of Disneyland, and it's just very special as a big Disney fan. So
Yeah.
something you have to do at some point. If you've done a bunch of trips to Disney World, maybe have that one, year that you go out to
I agree.
California.
Switch it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
experience that version. So totally agree. Meg, as we close here, where can viewers and listeners find you online?
So you can find me at Magical Meg on YouTube. So www.youtube.com/Magical Meg. And then my Instagram is Magical Meg Vlog.
Very good. Anything that you want to add before we hop off?
I'm hoping to get to Disneyland very soon.
Yeah, get to Disneyland.
Seeing your
Right.
post and the pictures that you were sending, it was just so crazy. Like, I've been talking about that I want to go to Disneyland, but seeing you be out there recently, in my head, I was like, oh, I really miss it. Like, you've given me the bug this past week that now I would definitely need to make it happen. 2024, it's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good, good. I do want to say a thanks to Ashley Charton and Grace Parker, who are vacation planners on our team, who we all met up with one evening and rode Rise of the Resistance together and hung out quite a bit. So a hello to them and thanks for hanging out. It was a terrific time. So Meg, I'm going to close out. Thanks for hopping on this very first live stream on the 407 and Beyond YouTube channel. Pretty exciting.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. These are fun videos to sit down and just chat Disney. Very laid back and casual. So I'm looking forward to doing the next one.
All right. Well, sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right,
Bye,
bye-bye.
guys.